Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd do just a really quick video to give you an update on how our worm bin's doing, and I wanted to also just touch base on what the hell worm tea is. I've done a lot of research recently, and I found that there's not a ton of videos on YouTube that just straight away tell you what worm tea is and what it can do for your garden, especially like potted plants and raised garden beds. So those of you that have smaller yards that just do potted things, or for someone like me that's interested in doing some raised garden beds. So stay tuned and I shall give you a little update. Alrighty guys, we've got some worm bin action as well as some Olive very intensely eating a peanut butter Kong action. She could care less about anything else that is happening right now. Huh, Olive? Yep. Okay, so back to the worm bin. It's been about 2 weeks since I started it. I've been misting it with this little mister every other day-ish. Your goal is to aim for about 60% humidity in this bin, as well as keep the temperature around, so 77 degrees is ideal, but anywhere between, I believe, 59 degrees and like 80 something is great. So I mean, it's inside right now, so it's pretty steady as far as the temperature goes. It is in the basement, so it's a little cooler, but I'd say it's about 67 down here, so right in the sweet spot. I've got some food in here that I added in yesterday, some cucumber rinds. I still got a little bit of kale, especially if you're doing bigger vegetables. I've been reading that it's nice to cut them up quite a bit because the worms will get at them much sooner. So yeah, I'm gonna try not to disturb them too much, but I'd love for you to see a couple of them. Oh, here we go. Here's one little dude. But yeah, they've dispersed throughout the bin quite nicely. So that means they're happy, they're acclimated. If they're clumping, I think I said this in the last video, but if they're clumping, it's a sign that they're really stressed out. So a good sign to know that you've got a good worm bin going is they're dispersed throughout the entire bin. So yeah, this is what it's looking like. I am hoping to get enough worm castings to make some worm tea by spring, and that is something I'd like to talk about because I think it's super interesting, and it's a way to keep your worm bin going without dumping the worms, and then you can also reuse those castings, which is great. So I'll talk about that in just a second. Hey guys, I switched back to me because I wasn't sure if you'd want to just stare at a worm bin that doesn't look like it's doing much. Maybe you'd rather, so sorry about that. But moving on, worm tea. What is worm tea? Worm tea is a very nutrient-dense liquid, otherwise known as, I believe it's known as liquid gold from the research I've been doing. It's made from steeped worm castings, and worm castings are worm poop. And in this worm poop, there are just tons and tons of microbes, fungi, and like super nutrient dense properties that really are essential for great plant growth, if I could say it, great plant growth, and really good for your soil for enriching any sort of lost nutrients that happen through gardening, or maybe if you've only used potted plants, so you can only get so many nutrients. It's a very organic, safe, well, obviously safe because it's literally worm poop, fertilizer. So how you make worm tea is you, once you have enough worm castings or enough worm poop in your worm bin, which hopefully before spring I will have enough to show you how to harvest it, you steep those with water, and what happens when you're steeping them like you would tea, all the nutrients get pulled into this liquid, and the liquid, first of all, it has more volume, so you can disperse it more places, or have, you know, more to disperse, but it's also, being a liquid, you can spread it more evenly than you could with just like actual worm poop, which it works great too. You can totally do that in your garden. But my thought is I'm going to steep these worm castings once I get them, disperse the liquid onto my garden area that I want to do my vegetable garden, as well as my fruit trees that I planted in the fall. I've got a couple apple trees that I transplanted that I'm hoping are going to make it through the winter. So I'm going to put on those two things. And then what I'll do with the castings, the leftover castings, I'm going to put them back into the worm bin to hopefully keep the worms happy within their biome and not to disturb what they're creating, because they really are creating an entire ecosystem in that tote downstairs, which is so cool. So yeah, that's what worm tea is. I will hopefully be making some soon. If you have any questions about worm tea, please leave a comment below. Or if you have any advice about how to, you know, get your worm tea going, or how to get your worm bin going too. If there's things that you have done and have learned from, I'd love to know that too, because like I said in the last video, I am so learning. I am not an expert, but I'm having a really great time, and so far so good. So I hope you guys have a great Thursday, and I will hopefully get a new update soon.